Sometimes it's good to remind ourselves that the book of Acts isn't Paul's biography. There were plenty of biographies of ancient leaders at the time of Luke's writing, and Acts does not pretend to be one of them. I say this because at times we encounter details, or sometimes the lack of details, and we want Luke to stop and tell us more. Last time we read of Paul's contentious encounter before the Sanhedrin. There, Paul wisely played the Pharisees and Sadducees against one another over the issue of the resurrection. Well, not specifically Christ's resurrection, but the resurrection to come at the end of the age. Now, most of us aren't up on the various beliefs between differing Jewish sects, so Luke clues us in. The Sadducees say there is no resurrection or angel or spirit, but the Pharisees, they acknowledge all three. The resulting commotion didn't lead to Paul's release, but recognizing with Ananias presiding, there was no chance of a fair trial. A draw was the best Paul was going to get. Not to give up too easily, in the morning the Jews joined in a conspiracy and bound themselves by an oath, neither to eat nor drink until they had killed Paul. There were more than 40 who joined in this conspiracy. That's commitment for you. Perhaps not the wisest decision, but you got to applaud their commitment. I tell myself again and again that I'm going to get up in the morning without hitting snooze. And my resolve fails almost every single time. These guys, they gave up food and water. They went to the chief priests and elders and said, "We have strictly bound ourselves by an oath to taste no food until we have killed Paul. Now then, you and the council must notify the tribune to bring him down to you on the pretext that you want to make a more thorough examination of his case. And we are ready to do away with him before he arrives." Now, I wonder what happened to these 40 guys when they found out Paul left town. Man, the look on their face. Did they break their oath, or did they take that other option? Well, that's a curiosity. It's not the detail I was referring. Rather, that detail is related in verse 16, where we're told, "Now the son of Paul's sister heard about the ambush. So he went and gained entrance to the barracks and told Paul." What? We've heard nothing of Paul's family to this point. What are they doing in Jerusalem? Did they consider Paul crazy as much as Jesus' family had, or were they believers? Now, Luke probably knew much about his family through their travels together. He may have even met them while they were in Jerusalem. Yet the details that interest us are not in the purpose of our author. He tells us the plot, the nephew that learned of it, and that he told Paul. Now, as I mentioned last time, having a Roman citizen under your protection killed by the Jews wasn't a good career builder, particularly a murder sanctioned by the Jewish ruling class. We're talking about at least 40 armed insurgents backed by the religious high council. Now, the Romans weren't just going to hand Paul over. If successful, it would be more than just Paul's life taken. The blood of Roman soldiers would have been spilled as well. This would have been nothing less than rebellion in the powder keg that was Jerusalem at feast time. Hence the seriousness with which the tribune responds. Then he called 2 of his centurions and ordered them, "Get ready a detachment of 200 soldiers, 70 horsemen, and 200 spearmen. Go to Caesarea at 9 tonight. Provide horses for Paul so that he may be taken safely to Governor Felix." The Roman military at the service of the gospel. The most powerful military in the world at the time, God's beck and call. I'm sure the Roman tribune thought he was in control, barking out orders and issuing commands. But we've been told in verse 11, that night the Lord stood near Paul and said, "Keep up your courage. For just as you have testified for me in Jerusalem, so you must bear witness also in Rome." In other words, the Lord was in control, and his purposes were not to be denied by a pack of hangry Sadducees. There was a storm raging around Paul, and yet he was given peace and encouragement. that he wasn't done until the Lord said he's done. In Paul's life, as it is in ours, God's purposes will not be denied. In the mundane or the miraculous, God's will be done. I pray you find rest in that. Have a great week.